Welcome in, everybody. Tuesday night here on Divots and Pivots. I'm Andrew Ledoux. Keith Fleming here.
Andrew dropping the ball early in this week's
dropping
episode.
the ball. Oh,
yeah,
what,
man.
Because I didn't hit go live for 2 minutes.
Yeah, man. That was 2 minutes that the listening audience doesn't get of Bud Copeland.
I know.
Come on, man.
You know what? It's been a little while since I've had the musings and storytelling of Bud, so I wasn't quite ready for it. I panicked and I hesitated. So
it's not. It's good to see you, gentlemen. Thanks for having me back. It is not. It always feels like home here, 8 o'clock on Tuesday nights on Divots and Pivot. For those who weren't in the green room, as they would say in the biz, the chatter was around the Afro Man trial. So Google Afro Man, go ask your Claude or Chat GPT or Perplexity, summarize the Afro Man trial for me. And it's a great, what are you sipping on there, Mr. Sophistication Station, red wine on a Tuesday night?
A little 19 Crimes. It's my go-to red.
I told you I saw that. I'm a whore for marketing and branding. That's when I was drinking a lot of red wine or just a lot of wine in general. Yeah. I mean, good Lord, you walk through, and that's kind of how craft beer is now, like the label hunting, because everybody's got their hoppy IPA and their smooth golden and their summer ale. Speaking of smooth and golden, and the introduction to summer, the PGA Championship. This was I'm interested to see what you boys felt about this because I'll tell you what, this is going to be a sneaky good, forgettable classic.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Now, I will say that we've obviously seen some uproar of people complaining about how hard it is, but only really amongst the players. I haven't really heard that from the fans, from the viewing experience from the fans. Like, personally, the only thing that made me mad about it was how bad my picks were, how nothing happened
the way
there.
How did you boys make out?
Nothing happened the way I predicted.
Oh, man, it's heartbreaking. I had Smalley 165 to 1 to win.
Yeah. No. I didn't know.
And he played well Sunday. Like, I can't be mad at him. He shot even.
He did what he needed to do.
I saw an article. He made a putt, like his final putt made him like $855,000 and guaranteed all sorts.
I mean, luckily had him 8 to 1 to top 10. So if you listen to that, you still, did okay. But yeah, that 165 to 1, I knew it was too good to be true.
Yeah. And then so I personally loved how challenging it ended up being, because when we were talking about last week and talking about the potential of it being almost like a low scoring, easier major compared to other majors, like I was saying that in almost like a disappointing, like, I hope this isn't boring. Like, and this was not boring. This was exactly what I want a major to be. I want it to be tough. I want it to be, these guys out there getting their ass kicked. I can do without the bitching and complaining from the golf's supposed biggest stars about it. But like, I'm here for the play. I thought it was great. Sure, I would have liked to see some bigger names at the top of the leaderboard, but once again, that's mainly because I had money on them.
There was big names, though. I mean, my thing is, it was a very stark reminder of when you add pressure, which there's no more pressure than a major championship on Sunday. There was 30 freaking guys within 5 shots of the lead when that thing started. There was still probably 20 to 25 guys with a legit chance when they made the turn on Sunday that they could win that tournament. You had, obviously, Aaron Rai's remarkable 31. John Rahm shot 34. Alex Smalley, 33. JT, 32. Oberg, 34. All the rest of these guys shot even par or worse. Cam Smith, Rory, Xander, Goddard, Justin Rose, Scotty Scheffler, Ben Griffin, Jordan Spieth, Daniel Pugh, Harris Englishman, Woo Lee, like Cameron Young, they all had their chance. And Rai was the one who stepped up and got it done. And I think that if you took, because I forgot he was 400 going into it. So he was definitely one of those names in the mix. I don't think anybody would have picked him. Like, if you could have ranked the 30 guys that were going to go on to win that event, like Saturday night, who would have had Aaron Rai in their top 20?
No, I was going to say there would have been at least 20, 22, 3 more guys ahead of him probably. Although I know Bud's a big Aaron Rai fan.
I was about to say, it's funny you say top 20 because that was my ceiling for him. When you said that, I was thinking to myself, of course, 4 under going in, looking at that, because I was thinking of throwing some Sunday night action around, and he was an interesting look because you could lock that in that he wasn't going to implode. He doesn't implode. We're used to, and this is where Rory's comments are going to come up in a second. But back to that 31. I mean, we're used to that, like some star, John Rahm dropping 31 on the back nine to take this thing. Rory dropping 30. Aaron Rai quietly drops 31 on the back nine. That's after an eagle on 9, and that's coming off of 2 bogeys and 3 holes. So, he bogeys 6 and 8, and I think the entire guy, like, that's where it's like, all right, let's see if he can hang on for the top 20. Homeboy locks it in, and everybody else kind of just fumbles around. Now, Rory's comments. Let's start there. If you missed it, it was early in the week, and he was pissing and moaning about the course setup. Not the way that Chris Gotterup or Scotty Scheffler were about, and they weren't pissing and moaning. They were just being like, it was almost like you say to your professor, because you can't piss them off. Man, that was kind of a hard test. Woo! Didn't see those questions coming, like that kind of stuff. But Rory specifically, I could go either way with it if I really could. I listened to him again recently, but basically what he said was it wasn't a great course setup because there was a bunched leaderboard, and he thinks that a great course will allow for separation. And I could do one of two things. I could be like, on the face, that sounds logical. You're right. The harder the course, the cream's going to rise to the top, et cetera, et cetera. I could also stand right across from him and says, sounds like you shot 4 over and are pissed off.
Right. That's how I
sounds. And you got to motivate yourself somehow. And by the way, these guys are all delusional. Every single one of them is effing delusional. You have to be delusional to play professional golf and play in majors and think you're going to win. Not the PGA Club pros, the low club pro. He was like, man, I decided to have fun this time. I did the first time around. Low pro. He's like, put pressure on myself in 2023. Like head case, had fun. Low pro. So back to Rory, he's got to do something at this point to kind of jar that. Like, he is probably in shock, like, what the heck was that? And he's thinking, I took my eye off the ball and I still was only 4 over. This course isn't that bad. I'm going to be back into it. His argument about creating separation, I'd look him in the face and just say, isn't this supposedly the most difficult and most talented field in all of professional golf? So couldn't you argue that? No, I mean, it has nothing to do with the course. The course is what the course is. It's you fools, and everybody just happens to be on their game. And you say, well, Rory, you obviously aren't on yours. So, yeah, that cream at the top maybe was sinking a little bit. Scotty Scheffler wasn't on his game. Brooks Koepka couldn't buy a putt. John Rahm is still a little flaky. Cam Smith couldn't finish 72 holes. Shocker. And then you have slow and steady Aaron Rai, meditating through the back 9, just methodically. He's pulling 3-wood on the tee.
Got hot with his putter, right?
And he gets hot with his putter at the right time. And you just happen to be Cam Smith. I texted Andrew, I go, if this turns into a putting contest, it's going to be Cam Smith.
No
kidding.
And then what did I say? He hasn't finished anything since whatever I said, something along those lines.
Way to go, Jim Nance. Did you see him jinx him, by the way? He hit it to like 8 feet with a chance to get 6 under early. And he said exactly what Bud did, that if this turns into a putting contest, these guys are in trouble. Smith to get to 6 under, and he made one of the worst strokes I've ever seen him make. I mean, it wasn't even close. And I'm like, man, the announcer jinx, alive and well in 2026.
And I think, Andrew, what you said early too, admittedly nobody, Brandel Chambly, Kevin Kisner, Jim Nance, nobody saw this coming.
There's been no victory laps.
Everybody was thinking Valhalla 2.0. And I was there, and I will tell you, it was a pitch and putt because the course conditions, it was so soft. I look back at that Valhalla course, and I'll let you boys know how it is. I'm going out there in July to play.
Rub it in, jerk.
I will. I absolutely will. And I was thinking, like, if they weren't able to just kind of throw lawn darts around there and those balls were rolling out 20, 30, 40 yards with the slope and the elevation change, that was the difference. I like seeing Brandel Chambly and Paul McGinley. I love hearing them go back and forth about what was more difficult, the rough or the fairways.
I love Rory more. No, I love Scotty more.
But they were both trying to hate. They were trying to like one up each other like a Mario Brothers mushroom about what was more important, the rough or the fairways. And it finally kind of was like, well, it's a combination, right? You're gonna the rough makes it so that if you run through the fairways and the fairways. And to put a bow on it, Rory had a point. It wasn't universal. It was for him and him alone. And I think he's on scholarship. He can say whatever he wants. Look at Chris Gotterup. I think Chris Gotterup's reaction was much more the everyman's reaction to the course setup. It was that one day, those pins. And hey, guess what? They have to do what they have to do if you don't have water and hazards. So kudos to the PGA, man. I think the proof is in the pudding. This course has been around for over 100 years, right? Whatever it might be. Aronimink goes way the F back. 1962, they had the PGA. Supposed to have it in 93, got canceled because of social issues. Look that up in your
I didn't know that. I would have looked that up.
Yeah,
when we get off this.
So when they come back around, this is a classic course. And I heard somebody say it, 100 years ago when it was designed, and these gigantic greens, they weren't running at 12 and 13 on the stem.
Right.
Sure.
Well, I'll counter that with this. They also were playing with different equipment. So those ball rollbacks, it's all because par has not effing changed. Yep. And what do you know? 9 under wins relative to par. This was an excellent major. Storylines. Who doesn't love Aaron Rai? Nice guy on tour. This is it's going to be his one. I'm going to say it's probably going to be his one major. That's the odds.
Yeah, he feels like a solo major. But you were saying even last year, maybe even the year before that, like Aaron Rai on major weeks, he always came up in conversations, and I think we were still at the point even last year where we were
don't forget this is only like his fourth or fifth major
will
start. So I mean, maybe he does end up being a guy that gets a couple. Who knows? Zach Johnson. When he won the Masters, I didn't think he was going to win another major. He did.
That's right. He got an open
championship. So like Aaron, I just know Bud for definitely like at least last year, maybe even the year before. Like
for a while.
Aaron Rai was one of those guys where you said I could see him winning a major at some point. I don't think we ever saw at some point being 2026 necessarily. Like I think it came earlier than anyone expected, but good for Aaron Rai. Everybody loves the guy. And I don't know if you saw the videos and the pictures of the next day on like driving ranges everywhere. Like there was one video from like I think from a no-name, I saw it on TikTok earlier, just shot down the line of the driving range, and literally every 50, 60 something year old guy out there early in the morning on the range, all 2 gloves. It's just they're all
and you know what, gang? That's what's going to do it. That's what's going to turn it around for you. You go get that second glove, because it has nothing to do with anything else. It has nothing to do with your timing.
It's like my dad with this 15th Scotty Cameron putter that he's bought, and I'm like, yeah, that'll fix your putting, pops.
It's just so funny though.
Listen, I'm still using my Scotty from when I was 15. Like that's the one thing I locked in early. I love it. I know that for me, the technology isn't going to do it. Repetition will. I will always go after technology when it comes to my irons and woods and wedges. I'm going to go get fitted for wedges later this year. Back to the PGA. Aronimink, in 1993, they were supposed to host it at the time. They were a fairly exclusive, some would say to a fault, exclusive club. The PGA of America was kind of saying early on, like, listen, there are certain, standards we have to make sure we're adhering to. And if you're not going to do it with your club, we can't really play ball with you. So they parted ways. PGA Tour obviously came around after the millennium, after some changes were implemented. Not to shame them, I was just telling the story.
No, I know. I mean, what I was laughing about
they came back around.
Masters who, they're like, we'll get Condoleezza. That's two birds with one stone. We'll have both a female and a person of color. So that'll buy us a couple of years before we feel any more heat.
I'll tell you what. Kudos to places like Augusta National who hold on. Then they ultimately make change. They make change and move on. They don't grovel. Yep. They don't grovel and say like, we should have done this sooner. We should have. We just say, we're going to do this. We think this is the right decision. Next, please. I don't know how they got that, but let's go back to the PGA Championship. What I'm going to be interested to see is, because I think, is it next year? It's in PGA Frisco, this brand. So they built this facility for the PGA Championship, essentially, and to move their headquarters out there. And so with all this talk this year about, Aronimink was going to be a pitch and putt. It's a members course. It's it's not really going to challenge these tour guys. And Mother Nature helped. Yes. I still don't see those scores being I think maybe that would have been a double-digit leader ultimately, but it's not like if the wind doesn't come for those stretches of time, that course was still, the greens specifically were still having their way with these guys.
Well, remember Thursday and Friday started out super soft too. So
that's what I said. Mother Nature
been able to drop it
gave
in there
an assist for the bunch. Because if it wasn't like literally perfect conditions for where the guys that went out early on Saturday got perfect conditions, and then the people that went out Sunday, and it even happened Friday to an extent too, they got caught in the wind. And so all the guys that had a chance to kind of run away with it, they couldn't, because the scoring was just too tough. Even Smalley, who made that nice little run at the very end on Saturday, he got lucky that because he was in the last group, I think he got to play like 5-6 holes at the very end in very calm conditions, and he played them 3-4 under. I owe an apology to doubting Donald Ross, who, he said this was his best venue. I honestly thought that Rory and those guys would just obliterate this course, because I'm looking at most of the carriers at 285, 290.
I was like, everybody did. It wasn't just that.
They weren't able to. I mean, I will say that if Scotty Scheffler would have got a little bit more out of his putter, and I'm not asking for a lot, like let's just make the ones inside 6-7 feet, he might have walked away with this thing, because it was hard to watch on Saturday, man. I mean, he missed 6 putts inside of 8 feet. I think like 4 of them were inside 4. I'm starting to worry a little bit about Scheffler, because we built it. And again, don't take this out of context, people. What I'm saying is, when you start comparing people to Tiger Woods, to Jack Nicklaus, which I finally came around with, like data's data, he was winning at that rate. But the problem is, you're going to have to live up to those expectations. And now this is 4 tournaments that I feel like he should have won. Like, he played well enough to win this year, tee to green, and his flat sticks let him down. There's a couple other tournaments where it was just his irons weren't sharp enough.
Right.
I don't know. I just worry that is it getting into his head, because winning is so hard. That's why I think it's just Tiger has a 20% or higher winning percentage for their PGA Tour career. Jack's at like 19%. And the reason is that you remember more bad shots than you do good. You remember, the failures way more than you remember your success. So he's somebody that I think he needs to turn it around quickly, or we could have a Rory type decade for Scheffler, where it's a lot of frustration and, what's wrong with Scotty when he's still winning tournaments here and there. But it's a really difficult game. There's so much freaking talent, and it felt like he had golf by the throat. And now you flash forward 6-7 months later, and he just doesn't seem so invincible.
Well, he definitely has something in his head, because when your first comments is to basically shout out the course being a reason why you didn't play very well, or it caught you off guard, that means it was in your head the most of the, majority of your rounds. So the fact that he was thinking about that, he was surprised by the course, and he wasn't prepared for, he's in his head already. It's not a good sign. Now, luckily for him, that's something he can turn around. But like you said, when you couple that with the frustrations and, quite frankly, the timing and mechanic issues we've seen with his irons so far at times this year, when you couple both of those together, that's where I think you're right, where it does get worrisome. I do think when it comes to comparing him to Rory's, decade of frustration, Scheffler is a bit more controlled with his emotions than Rory ever has been or will be. So I think he has the potential to be able to pull himself out of it a little bit cleaner here, quicker, possibly. But look, it wouldn't be the first time. I've mentioned it before. We saw the same thing where Henrik Stenson went on a tear, not to this level, but these guys go on these month-long tears, year or two tears, and then they fall off, disappear, and only the great ones pick it back up and come back. Spieth came back to some extent, where Rory came back. We'll see if it happens to Scheffler.
You went there. I was going to go there if nobody else ended up there, but it's just the latest. It's just the latest in lightning in a bottle. You nailed it, Keith. 2 guys have sustained it like that. That was it in the modern era, and then we really have 2, maybe 3 guys in the pre-modern era. And I'm leaving old Tom Morris and those guys. I'm talking about Bobby Jones, Walter Hagen, and then we had Ben Hogan kind of in that bridge gap, and then we got Jack and Tiger, and we're waiting for the next one. We thought we had it with Rory, and then he implodes at Augusta, and then it's a decade of just waiting. We thought we had it with Spieth when he just, oh my God, 2 out of 3, and now all of a sudden he's halfway. And John Rahm, look out for this guy. Phil Mickelson, we thought we had it again, which Phil's a unique one. I think Phil's kind of, there's no argument. So F yourself. Phil's the modern Arnold Palmer. Was not the on the course most prolific winner of his era, but when you take the total package and his impact on the game, you can't really deny his place amongst the Mount Rushmore of them all. And shout out to Phil, whatever he's going through, whatever's causing that silence. It's never anything positive when you're away this long and nobody's saying anything. Because
that's the most telling thing.
Yeah. So I agree. We get greedy we want to anoint these guys because we want it. I don't know if Scotty's getting into his head. I think maybe we've gotten into our heads because we keep on pulling that crown off and dusting it off every time somebody has a hot streak. And look at basketball. There, Wilt, Kareem, Larry, Magic, Michael. There's only a handful of these guys in the history of the game. LeBron, Kobe. That so every time another one. I mean, Wemby might be. He might.
Dude,
he's
unbelievable, man. I'm like, this dude's a freaking
survive.
Like Kyrie was supposed to be one of those guys. Don't get me wrong, Kyrie's got a great handle, etc. Steph is one of those guys. So they're even more rare than we think, and that's in basketball. Take golf, where these guys hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of professionals that we've talked about it before. The margin of error for them, or the margin of good, great PGA Tour and legend, is very slim. The reason we don't see it is because what sells? Winners. So we only focus on the Brooks Koepka crowd, right? You hear him break down a major. I got to beat about 20 guys. Half the crowd's not even ready for this. The other half, 30% of those guys are.
Brooks wouldn't even let Aaron Rai play in majors if he had his.
Yeah, it's like, what are your odds? 150 to 1. All right,
you're
great.
Out.
You can tee it up. Yeah, you can tee it up for Thursday, Friday. We just
you can play in the Monday with the journalist, you schmuck.
He's Brooksy would definitely be in favor of replacing, a direct vote, which is polling with a margin of error for like, what do we? We know how this is going to go. Let's just cut to the chase. And that's why we play it. And that's why we love this sport. And that's why this sport is so. I mean, JJ spawned last year, Aaron Rai this year. And these are. I don't think. Unfortunately, we've had Danny Willett, we've had Sean McKeel, we've had Rich Beam, we've had these, Michael Campbell. Thank you. This is my point. I don't think Aaron Rai is those guys because, like you said, he's still on the ascension. We went, junior and then, Challenge Tour, DP World Tour, Korn Ferry. And so he still is relatively on the ascension. You're right. This could be the first. His short hitting, I think, will limit him in the U.S. Opens, as we're going to see coming up. But, look out for him. He showed up at Augusta National a couple times, and PGA Championship's a hard one to snag if you get the wrong venue. Open championships have shown they're vulnerable to any Joe shit the rag man who happens to be that week.
Couldn't you see his game like equating to an Open? Like just how good he is with. That's what I'm saying, with his iron game too and everything. Like
you can 100% see that. So that's why I do agree. Like I am with you guys. I think Aaron Rai.
Excuse me, it was his 8th major start, but that's pretty remarkable to think that.
Pretty good. Brooks Koepka. Remember when Brooksy went back to back at the U.S. Open? Then he won the PGA in there too. And we went, here's our next one. He's got the Tiger mentality, and he's so yeah. Sorry, didn't want to. That's what they call a callback in the business when you refer to something earlier in the show. It wasn't very subtle and it wasn't smooth, but I had to get that one in there. I knew
there's nothing subtle or smooth about this show, and there never has been. And in fact, we embrace that. So it's good for me. Real fast before we get into the CJ Cup, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on the confusion of whatever Bryson is right now. Because now, granted, last week I was not thinking Bryson had any chance in this tournament coming into it. Honestly, like he was a guy that I thought was overpriced for how he was playing and whatnot. But I feel like he played even worse than I expected.
I don't think so. I mean, I told you this in the preview that he is dealing with a lot. Like I think the reason he's lashing out and behaving, he needs to act like Brooks, not like Bryson right now. Like Brooks had some humble pie. Brooks is on the other side, got safe status. He's still pumping up the PGA Tour. I'm worried about Bryson because the PGA Tour absolutely could say, F you. We're not going to open an avenue for you. And what he said about, I'll go play golf on YouTube. It's like, fine, good luck with that. We'll see how many majors you win on YouTube. He's got to figure something out, but I do think that he's just a mess right now. I actually think it was impressive that Rahm played as well as he was because
Rahm surprised.
I know you made the point that like technically his status is secure and everything, but he's not happy about it. And he does, and like he's stuck because until they stop having the purses that were promised, he's on the hook. He's got to stay with Liv. And a lot of these guys are going to be able to leave before him. I mean, it may eventually get to where he's the only guy out there for that last year, I think, if the contracts, work out the way it's been speculated. So, but I just want Bryson. I want all these guys just playing golf at a high level. That's what I want. I want to see these guys go toe to toe. It's kind of a shame that because of the whole Live PGA thing, there's all these guys and they're like mid to late 20s, early 30s who are granted like uber talented professional golfers. And we have not seen them mix it up nearly as much as we should have and push each other.
I got two reactions. Obviously the Bryson stuff. I'll get to that second. I'm glad you brought up Jon Rahm and his performance this week, because it feeds into my point about Bryson. And then also back to Johnny Boy. I think he's going to get freed sooner than later. I can't remember where I saw or heard it, but Liv is paperwork or stuff's in motion for them to declare bankruptcy, which would be the trigger.
GoFund page me. That's not a good
sign.
They've been asking, yeah. Now they're prepping the paperwork for when that doesn't come through, and then John will get out of his contract and he'll go DP World Tour until he can make his way back. Or the PGA Tour will say, hey, you've been performing well in the majors. You haven't been talking shit about us. You haven't been saying how much you could do. Here's what happened to Bryson. Bryson got what was coming to him, because you can't ride two horses with one ass. And he wants to, if you want to be a YouTube golfer, go be a YouTube golfer. Wesley Bryan is a former PGA Tour winner. You can go be a former major winner. You can corner that market. Where I lost Bryson, and this is strictly from like what are you doing, man? Is when he came out and was saying, this is unfortunate because of all the stuff I could do for the PGA Tour. Timeout, pause, flag on the play. Here's why everybody tuned into you on YouTube to watch you hit golf balls over your house and break 50 with the press. Go play, 2-on-2 V grudge matches. It's because you were winning majors. You just won the U.S. Open at Pinehurst with the most incredible up and down under the circumstances. Nobody gives a rat's rear that you won on Live. Live is a great place for you to kind of keep your knife sharp, but only if you're going to keep your mind sharp. Jon Rahm had to learn that the hard way, and I think he even wishes he says, I enjoy it. It's fun. It's good competition. He didn't say, it's the strongest competition that would keep me in the where I need to be, except because he can't say that. That's the truth. Bryson is going to have to make the decision, like you said, because there's only going to be maybe another year. Our attention span's so short. If he goes the way of Cam Smith with the majors and just starts missing cuts or just imploding again, then no, we're not going to be tuning into YouTube, because nobody wants to watch unless you are declared, I'm hanging it up. Come behind the scenes and be with me. But nobody wants to watch former major, nobody's tuning into Danny Willett on YouTube. No disrespect to the Englishman, but you get one of the
personality. So,
well, even like Patrick Reed, nobody's gonna turn into Patty Reed, even though it'd be. I'd turn.
I was gonna say I would tune into Patrick Reed. That's
so Bryson got what was coming to him. Is a little bit of a reminder that this is the highest level of golf, and you think about other sports where how rare it is. We got Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson. That's about it, right? Everybody else in the history of professional sports had to pick one and focus on it.
Well, my man Ron Gant too.
What did Ron Gant play professionally outside of baseball?
Football.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. And didn't Brian Jordan? Jordan also had,
that's who I was thinking. Brian.
That's who you're thinking of. It was Brian Jordan. Because you think about even like Jim Brown, who was the best athlete of all time.
Jordan actually got drafted too. Like he had
the bandana thing going with Deion. I remember that. Andre Dawson. Andre Dawson got drafted, I think, in all 4 professional leagues, something like that. So
that's
Tom Brady drafted by the Expos. Yep. My point is this. You either are pro or you're a YouTube pro. And even the YouTube pros would probably embrace him to say, come on, man, it's fun over here. Money's not really what you're in it for anymore. If you want to entertain, you want to grow the game, this is where the growth is.
They would take
I agree with that. The PGA Tour's mission is not to grow the game. It is to exhibit the highest level of the game, period, full stop. Yep. PGA of America, YouTube, you and me. Our job is to grow the game. The PGA Tour's job is to motivate these professional golfers however they might be. I don't like that it's become an arms race because it's not a sustainable arms race unless you continue to make some of these adjustments. I'm not against it either. People who are pissed off about smaller field sizes, et cetera, ad nauseum, ad infinitum, I don't care because the ratings on Sunday are not for all 70 guys. It's for the top of the leaderboard. That's what pays the bills. That's what drives the TV audience, and it all trickles down from there. The growth of the game rests on the shoulders of the rest of us and those professionals when they get off and they do great interviews and they do great pro-am work. But the PGA Tour is the business, and that doesn't make them dirty. I don't know how we got there. But
no,
yeah, fuck Bryson if no, I'm just kidding.
How does the 2 million more viewers, by the way, on Sunday than a Scotty Scheffler win the year prior?
Well,
to me, that shows that we do want to see, more people in contention on Sunday. It's the biggest. I think they said they had a hard time tracking it, but they think it's the most people within 5 shots of a PGA win. Like, forget a major, like any tournament in at least 30 years, which the viewership shows that people are into that.
That's why I think that's complete contrast to what Rory said, which is I think what at my core annoyed me about Rory's comments was that, like, as a fan, like, no, I was excited that there was that many guys in contention because that's fun to watch. You never know, like, when you see one guy in the lead, bogey one hole, and all of a sudden he drops like 10 spots, and like that's that leapfrog effect. That's
like a NASCAR race, man, with those
This is serendipitous because I got to bounce and let you guys get onto your degenerate gambling in the CJ Cup. But to put a bow on this and bring it full circle here, we came on, talking about Rory. Did he have a point? Did he not have a point? Did he have a point? Did he not have a point? He didn't have a point, not for the masses. Hell no. And it sounded stupid as shit. And I was wondering why it sounded stupid as shit. And I couldn't put my finger on it. And you just gave us the data. People want competition. Last year, Scotty Scheffler had a 3-stroke lead going into the final round. The number 1 player in the world who's never blown a lead in his life has a 3-shot lead. Nobody wants to watch a coronation.
The personality of a wet napkin.
Well, and he's not Tiger, right? Like Tiger with a 3-shot lead in his heyday, people would have watched.
Yeah, because it could turn into a 12-shot lead. And he grew it to a 5-shot win, but a ho-hum, win for the number 1. It's not as enticing as my gentle Lord. Is my 156-1 Alex Smalley going to hit? Is the guy that everybody loves, who we all assumed is just going to be the bridesmaid forever, is one of the game, Rory was up there. Spieth was up there. Justin Thomas is in the clubhouse early with the lead.
Dude, deja vu.
Staring at his beer just to be like,
I'm not drinking 5 of these this time.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, I said it at the beginning, I think this is, and like you said, Andrew, this is everything that we want out of sorry, went through some changes there. This is everything that we want out of a major championship. It was a classic championship. Yes. I think it will be a forgettable classic unless Aaron Rai does what we just said he might do, which is win a couple more. And then we'll look back at this and be like, do you remember, the race where Aaron Rai finally just broke away from the pack and had his Scotty Scheffler like run? So you boys enjoy the rest of the evening. I sincerely appreciate it. I'll be back sooner than later, whether you like it or not.
You have a good night. Thank you for coming on again.
Good to see you, buddy.
We've missed you on these screens. Yes, if for those of you who are new to the show this year, Bud was my co-host for 4 seasons leading up to this season. So I'd love having him back tonight, and maybe you'll see more of him in the future. But so to put a bow on the PGA, like you said, you guys both alluded to it or just outright said it. The beauty of the PGA Tour, the beauty of these major championships, and the growth of the game is that guys push each other. Like and like you said, like if they're gonna push each other, sport,
right? Yeah, like if you play with better players, you're going to get better. Like that's
exactly
the nature of this game.
And the guys all know, the guys out there playing, the women out there, it's the same thing on the LPGA Tour. Like you need the competition to drive you to be better. It's just how it is when you're in an individualistic sport.
It's really in life.
I'm not even just talking about what we see on TV on Thursday to Sunday. I'm talking about even the practice rounds all week leading up to each tournament. Every single time you go out there and play around, whether it's for competition or for practice or whatever, like there's things other guys are doing or women that you
pick up, right? You're like, oh, you do.
You're noticing how they attack the course. You're noticing how they spin or whatever.
Yep.
It's an always evolving game, which is why no one can ever keep their swing the same throughout forever. Before we get into the CJ Cup, one last thing I want to say is, are you feeling more comfortable with Justin Rose with his McLaren irons? Because he didn't win, but he performed better than.
I didn't even check to see what was his approach numbers.
I can find that out right now because I got BetSperts up, and I'll be able to look that up.
I mean, obviously you feel better. I still, though, stand by what I said then, and I stand by it now, that this dude was playing as good a golf as he had in forever early in the year. And who knows how many more majors he's going to be in the thick of it, right? And here he is, 2 down, and he didn't win either one of them. And this venue, especially, I feel like this, especially seeing how Aaron Rai won, God, I mean, I would be kicking myself if you thought you lost a couple of shots and you're Justin Rose that,
right.
I made a change here. And I will say that I am disappointed in us. I never really considered Aaron Rai, to be honest. And almost all the golfers that I was talking about that I liked outside of those guys that Rai could overpower the course were Alex Smalley in so many ways is Aaron Rai. He's a better putter, but he's another guy that's just very consistent off the tee, very good from 175 and in. And it just, I was a little frustrated in that. Again, there's, if I'd have had Aaron Rai and Alex Smalley on my betting card, I don't think you should be listening to my bets anyway. If I'd have had both of those guys on there, even though it'd have been a good week, I don't think you want somebody that goes into a major going, I'm going to take a shot on both of these guys. But was disappointed about the Smalley thing. Obviously, it would have been the biggest or highest odds winner I've ever given. 165-1 is a huge freaking number. Obviously, very happy to hit the 8-1 for him to top 10. Wish I would have included. He would have been another. I think he was plus 1950 to top 5. Wish I'd have thrown that in there. And that was the other thing that was wild on Sunday. Them being so bunched was it was so easy for somebody to go from second to 24th, and Nick Taylor ended up imploding, but
I know
he literally went from inside the top 5 to I think finishing outside the top 40, which shows
it was a
how
betting
packed it was
nightmare.
With a 40 on the back. Yeah,
it was a betting nightmare and dream all at once, depending on what side you are. To speak to your question about Justin Rose's approach, he was in positive. He was plus 0.82. Strokes gained approach. His only negative was actually off the tee. He was minus 0.67 strokes gained off the tee.
Is he playing McLaren Woods too? Do you know?
I don't know. That I'd have to look into because I've only heard about the irons to this point, so I'm not sure. I know he was also a plus 1.2 around the green as well, which is obviously was where he really shine this week. So I also don't know if he's playing McLaren wedges. So that I'd have to dig deeper. It's something to keep an eye on. But his approach numbers were fairly well given, especially given that a lot of guys struggled with that this week, with how accurate you had to be with your placement given and knowledge of the green so that the ball actually rolled out as well to where you needed it to be.
I admit they look pretty. Looking at them right now, they are pretty irons.
Yeah, they're pretty sharp looking irons, so they got that right. We'll see how they perform in the long run here. But quickly, because I know you gotta get out of here early tonight, let's get to the CJ Cup, and we'll give you a quick rundown here. CJ Cup, it's a cut field this week, top 65 in ties. Scotty defended this last year, and we're at TPC Craig.
Don't bury the lead. Scotty 31 under. He beat everybody but Van Ruin, who finished second just with his front 9 score. That is outrageous.
It was an absolutely outrageous week last year. And Eric Van Rooyen is someone that at 6,900, I'll just say right now, I am considering this week just because of his course history.
Yep.
And his form is not terrible. He was in terrible form. Like when I say terrible form,
he was in. Yeah, it was bad.
He had gone November to March 21st without making a cut. Like it was terrible. But he's now out of nowhere, end of March to current day, has made 3 cuts in a row. Now
he played well at Myrtle or one of the places recently, didn't he?
So T38 at Myrtle. Yep. So he was playing the alternate tournament that week. But yeah, T38 at Myrtle. He finished T59 at Valero and T48 at the Texas Children's. So still not great necessarily finishes. but he's at least making the cut, and that's good. Now, this is the type of tournament this week, field and whatnot, where there's not necessarily going to be a lot of meat down in that 6K and low 7K range, unfortunately, this week.
I kind of disagree a little bit, but okay.
It feels, at least the way my model is shaping up, it's really mid 7s and then 9s, like the mid to high 9s is kind of where most of my math is coming out. Like I said, you got a guy. I just think the 6K range is more volatile this week than it even sometimes is. Like the fact that a guy like Joel Dahman is popping in my model. That's someone that I love Joel Dahman, but I do not trust him with his
current. Come on, man! Don't make me have to start correcting the way we pronounce stuff. We're really in trouble.
But Joel Dahman is not someone I trust his current form in right now. But he's someone who has done well at this course in the past. Like, so it's one of those where it's like
you're going to take chances on any of these kids. You know, there's several of the kids in this one. Obviously, Mason Howell, who everybody knows, but there was 2 Monday qualifiers. Kid from Huang, Huang, from North Texas. I believe he's 6K. He's a sophomore in college.
Yeah.
And then there's another kid who is 6K. I wrote it down because he's the 5th ranked junior in the world. Ronan Banerjee.
Yeah,
Banerjoe. I think he's 6,100. He is the 5th ranked junior in the world. And in that Monday qualifying, he made 2 eagles and 3 or 4 birdies on route to being the second low qualifier, whatever you want to call it there. If you were trying to, put Scheffler and say somebody else in that 9K in a lineup, I think you can do a lot worse than those 2 kids that are 6,100 and 6,000 when we know this is one of the easiest golf courses on tour. And I, again, want to really appreciate John Hallsborough for his great write-up that he always does. It ranks in the bottom 5 of PGA golf courses in terms of scoring average, par 4 scoring, strokes gained approach around the greens, approaches of 150 plus yards around the green difficulty, putting inside 15 feet, and penalty shot per round. So, I mean, this is a course where if you have a gear, you can get it. And like the number 5 junior in the world, a kid that's playing at North Texas that obviously shot well enough to, get one of those 5 spots, like, why not?
So neither of those guys are in BetSperts, unfortunately. But for some reason, Fabian Gomez is. But instead of he's got question marks in his name. For some, I'm just noticing that they like there's an error with the spelling from Argentina.
Amazing.
There. But so real fast, I know because like I said, I know you gotta get out of here. The stats I'm looking at are strokes gained approach. Approximately 150 to 200, par 4s 450 to 500 off the tee, and then alluding to the point you just made, par 5 eagles, because those 3 par 5s are the easiest holes on this course. Yep. Like you really have to be able to take advantage of that. So these are all stats that I'm prioritizing this week, and what that is given to me is, like I said, a lot of kind of heavyweight, high end guys, Scotty Siwoo, Keith Mitchell, Ryu, Davis Thompson. Those guys are all in my top 10 there. The only kind of, I guess, if you want to call value guys in my top 10 that are priced under 8K would be Max McGreevy is ranked 7 at 7,300 for me. Austin Eckrow is at 7,500, and then Rico Hoey at 7,600. Those are the 3 kind of, I guess, value guys in my top 10. But are you looking at any stats other than the ones I said before you got to jump off?
I mean, don't forget, though, the short par 4s, too. I think that's something that, again, between the par 5s, there's 3 of them, and there are 5 par 4s that play under 430 yards. So you're talking about driver flip wedge for, pretty much everybody in the field on those holes. That's the other thing is they just pound driver on this golf course. Average fairway length is 40 yards because of the sticky, what is it, Zoysia, fairways. The ball is not going to really like run off or release. Zoysia. Over 70% of fairways and greens hit. So I agree with you that like the long iron number is important because there's 5, par 4s of 470 plus. So you got to be able to do that, right? And some long par 3s. But don't forget there also are short par 4s And then I also just really looked at, strokes gained around the green, which I don't think that can be, again,
okay. I wasn't
because,
looking
again, the par fives and all those short par fours, it is very important that you score, in that short yardage. So those would be the two that, like, I emphasized. I agree with the guys that you gave. I think the best value this week is, like, I think this could be the Blades Brown week. And if you're doing
field, yeah.
Yep. And if you're doing betting card, like, I bet 4 outrights. Most of my bets again this week are predominantly top 5, top 10, top 20 bets. But the 4 outrights were Koepka, Cootie, M, and Brown. I did both with Scheffler and without. And I mean, you're getting, like, Koepka, he goes from 25-1 to 17-1. Cootie goes from 40-1 to 27-1. M 57-1 to 37-1, and Brown 80-1 to 52-1. I feel like if you're betting anybody for the outright and you have the ability to bet also without Scheffler, why would you not also bet without Scheffler? Because you're going to be pissed if any of those people lose to Scheffler, because more than likely that's going to be the outcome. Like, I can't ever remember a golf tournament where somebody was like, I guess maybe the Tiger, like, peak Tiger days, where it's like there's nobody in the fields anywhere close to him and talent. Yeah. Like, his BC game could probably beat this field.
Well, and the DK pricing is the perfect narrative to that point. Scotty Scheffler is 14,800. The next highest price guy is Siwoo Kim at 9,900.
It's insane.
That is a almost 5,000 gap.
That's
like
crazy.
That is crazy when it comes to if you play DraftKings regularly. That's an anomaly. You don't see that. So
would you play Spieth, Kim, or Koepka? Which of those 3 guys would you play this week?
I would.
Because they're all basically the same price.
Yeah, so you know what? I'd take the chance on Koepka. I like that. I like the way he's playing. I like this field for him. It feels like he looks looser around there. His approach game has been on point since he's been playing, even the alternate events that he's had to play just to play, basically. So, like, I'm all on board for the Koepka humble pie comeback train that he's eating right now.
Even with Spieth's record in Texas, because that's the one big thing. Spieth is so good in Texas, and he's finished 9th or better 3 of the last 4 starts here. And if I remember correctly, the one miscut was the year that he was just playing dog awful. That was like, I think that year we were all like, "What is wrong with Spieth?" But
yeah, that was an
I'm kind of with you. Siwoo.
He's going to be very high owned. Siwoo's
very high, right? That's what I was thinking. I thought actually probably Spieth would probably be the lowest owned of the 3.
So I still think Koepka is going to be long than Spieth.
Okay, I agree with you.
I think the Texas narrative is well known enough for Spieth at this point that
people will latch onto that.
It's too sharp of a narrative now that people will know it. Like, it's not a hidden gem for guys like us that are degenerates and look at all the stats. Yeah. Like, that's a narrative that's public enough at this point, I feel like. So I'd rather take the Koepka story where people are kind of writing him off as this comeback story, and they'd rather play quote unquote safer play in Spieth in Texas.
I do love the McCreevy play. He's one of my under 7,500 guys. You can get him at plus 510 to top 10, which I think that is great value as well.
Yeah.
Cameron Champ is somebody I always have to mention in these things. He's 6,700.
Crushes it.
Not in cash, obviously, but in multi-entries, he is the ultimate guy that, like, he's either going to miss the cut or probably finish top 10. That just seems to be Cameron Champ's deal. Some other guys I really like. I like David Skins a lot. He's 6,900. He's having a very good season. I think he's finished like top 30 in 3 of his 4 events. He's made the cut here all 3 times. I really like Jordan Smith at 7,400. Another guy, just an elite ball striker. Same thing for Sam Ryder, who's 7,200.
Jordan Smith failed us this past week, unfortunately.
What'd you say, buddy?
Jordan Smith really failed us this past week.
Dude, Jesus. I was like, get out of here, bro. And then Doug Gim is another guy that might surprise some people that I really like at 7,500.
Yeah,
elite ball striker, really good around the greens. I expect him to play well. And then if you're looking for some, like, cheap guys that have a good record, first of all, Eric Cole at 8,100, I think is one of the safer plays. I'd be shocked if Cole doesn't, at least like top 25. this weekend at 8,100. Like, it's not going to kill you if that's kind of his, if he goes to his floor. But Adam Schenk and Troy Merritt are both, I think it's like 65 or 6,400 or less. They have both had multiple top 15 finishes in their last 3 starts. Yeah, that's the kind of, plays where when somebody does it twice in a 3-year span at a venue, I'm going to take a chance now, because at 6,400, really all you're looking for is just, if you can make the cut, make the cut. But if they can then not only make the cut, but finish in the top 15 again, that's huge. Because if I remember correctly, Schenk, I think, has got 2 top 15s, and then it's actually Merritt that has 2 top 10s.
Yeah, Shane's got good history here, so that's definitely a good shout. And Merritt is definitely one of those guys that is not necessarily popping in my model because he's missing some comparable course stats for me. It's like where he just hasn't played enough of them for them to even be showing. But he also has good history here, so I don't mind those plays at all. Those are good nuggets for sure. Look, once again, thank you guys for joining tonight. It's the CJ Cup. I know coming off the PGA Championship or any major is sometimes a little bit of a down week.
It's a down week, but we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, but Scotty Scheffler is still in this field, and then that 9K range is juicy this week. So there will still be good golf this week. Watch it, tune in, feel the excitement. We love you guys. As always, join us here every Tuesday night at 8:00. And get out there and get over to a fantasy 6-pack. Watch Keith as he continues on.
We'll be short tonight, seriously. See you guys.
See you guys.